Sri Vidya Temple Society of Rochester, New York has embarked on an ambitious program to build a Dravidian-style temple which will be the permanent home for the mother. The reason for trying to build this new edifice is that the younger generation growing up in the West would understand what kind of architecture and structure was involved in the olden day temples. when we build this temple, it will follow some of the principles laid down in the Agama Shastras. We have engaged a veteran, Stapati or temple architect, who has built well over 110 temples outside of India. We hope that everyone will like to become part of this temple, and if they are so interested, they could contact us by calling area code 585-533-1970 or srividya.org. It's our prayer and hope that every one of you who hears this message will participate in making this temple construction a reality. Thank you very much.
Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namaha.
Sri Matre Namaha. Namaskaram, everyone. Welcome back to our Sacred Rites and Rituals of Sanātana Dharma learning series, which is a joint presentation by the Sri Vidya Temple Society, Rochester, New York, USA, and Ashtanga Yoga Mandir of Sri Lanka. A few housekeeping reminders. We kindly ask everyone to keep all microphones and cameras turned off throughout the session. Please use the question form to share any questions you might have pertaining to the content discussed today. For those viewing our live stream, our question form can also be found on our webpage, which is srividya.org/AYM-lectures. We will hand it over to Ayat today to begin our session.
Gajananam bhutaganadijogitam kavitrajambopalacharavakshitam Masudam soka vinachakaranam namami Padapangajam Sri Mahaganadhipataye Namaha Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. My humble pranams to my Sri Guru, Sri Amritanandana Saraswati of Devipuram, India. My humble pranams to him, and may he sit on my heart lotus and speak through me. We were looking at Shivalingams. The classification as far as Shivalingams are concerned, depending on who installed it, what is the material of which it is made, how it was made, whether it was made at all, whether it was found in a river, all of those things we have looked at. Now, last time, there was a question about the Shivalingam that I first worshipped. If you know, if you heard the stories, there's a gemstone in the middle of the lingam, in the puja part of the lingam, and the abudayar and the lingam are all cast in one. This came into my possession when I was about 17 years old. So from that day, it has been worshipped. Can we have a picture of that Shivalingam, the Retina Lingam at home? We have various Shivalingams in our temple. And just looking at them and taking and watching them and observing them carefully, that itself has an effect. Now, if we can have the slides of the Shivalingams that are present in our temple. Now, these are called Retina Lingam. That means they are made either from a pure gemstone or a gemstone. And depending on which gemstone you have chosen, which pattadi you have chosen to do puja, right? The effect of the Shivalingam emanating power and Shakti will be different. So, you have tiger's eye. In the Retina Lingam, go back to the Retina Lingam, please. Okay, in the first one, you have tiger's eye. All these lingams are Kriyalingams, which means the composition of both the Abudaya, the Yonipitam, and the lingam itself as one and the same, it's homogeneous material. There is no separation. Now, also, the popular gemstones corresponding to the Navagrahas are very popular. Navaratnam, right? Vairam, Vaiduriam, Gomedavam, Pushparagam, Maragadam, in Neelam, and something else is there. Pavalam, Muttu. So the puja, the tiger's eye is a representative for opal, which is for Ketu. Okay? Sorry, Rahu. The opal, this is a substitute for that. So imagine a person who has Rahu dosham in his horoscope. If he worships this, automatically that will go away. All right, the next one, please. Retina Lingam. This one is a Retina Lingam that is made of the material onyx. I could not find the Tamil word for onyx or the Sanskrit word for onyx, but nevertheless, it is a semi-precious stone, and the lingam qualifies to be Retina Lingam. I think since the coloration of the lingam is black, and the popular stories told of Yama, who is a darker hue in color, this may be there to dispel the fear of death and may have been worshipped for that. I have not seen very many onyx lingams, but this one was somewhere in a gem store in India, in Bangalore, and I remember buying it for the temple. Okay, next one, please. Now, if you look at this, this is called blue gold stone. If you look very closely, you will find speckles inside the Shivalingam. Now, for both Devi and Swami, Virat Purushaya Namaha, right? So, Virat Rupinya Namaha for the Devi, which means the entire universe is their form. And since most of it is space and the stars are speckled around it, they must have chosen this material, and each of those dots inside this and other types of gold stone represent the constellations. Of course, this is Retina Lingam, again, gold stone. If you look at the smaller lingam on the right side, on the left side bottom, you will see that the speckles are very well exhibited here. It's a mortal defect that you get when you look at this, and you worship the Shivalingam for a period of at least 2 to 3 years continuously. You will have the effect of losing all the Navagraha doshams that are there in your horoscope. Conversely, if you talk about it, that means when you do Abhishekam to this lingam and Archana and Aradhanam to this lingam, what it does is it erases your karma. And it's quite powerful. We do have inside the temple the lingams that are shown. Both lingams are in the temple. The one on the right-hand side is approximately 4 inches, 3 to 4 inches. Next one, please. Now, this is a Retina Lingam for devotees of Madurai Meenakshi, Rajamadangi, Lagushyamala, Naguli, right? These deities that have emanated from the sugarcane bow of the Devi, mighty Devi, the color is associated with the Meenakshi color. Now, this chemical nature of this is known. This is a copper derivative, and it is called malachite. Now, if you look at the Panchalokams, cupric element is there, gold, silver, and copper. If you look at the Navagrahams, the metal corresponding to the planet corresponding to the metal copper is Savai, is Mars. So those people who have Mangalic problems, if they manage to acquire a malachite meru and perform at least 5 udranis full of tirtha jalam to it, they will find relief. Okay? Now this malachite meru is there, and I do not know whether it is striations or at some point or the other, very minor crack has appeared. So I did not want to take a chance with it. So this now is in the front, facing east on the Navagraha Mandapam in the temple, and it's an alternate for Buddha. In most temples, you will find Buddha, whose gemstone is Maragadam, the green color. But if you look at the chemical composition, it is related to Mars. Right? In most temples, Buddha is shown depicted as facing east. So it's appropriate, I thought, that we place this lingam on top of the Navagraha Mandapam. Next one, please. Retina Lingam. This is a Jade Lingam. Now, jade also is related to the, what is that? The moonstone. Because there is a type of jade moonstone that has these dots in it. Unfortunately, I don't have a sample of it to show you. This one takes care and reduces sarpadosha if you do abhishekam to this lingam. Next one, please. Now, marble. They wanted to know what the Tamil word for marble was. It's chunnambu kallu, because it is calcium. That's what it is, right? So, this lingam, I do not know how this type of Kriyalingam crept into the culture in our parts of the world, because this is one material that will dissolve. When you do perform abhishekam, 5 udranis of water every day, for 20 years, the lingam will start to have irrigation canals on it. Because that's the nature of it. It will dissolve in the water. Minuscule quantities at a time, but eventually, after a extended period of time, you start to have. Now you are emotionally and spiritually gotten attached to that Shivalingam. When the damage happens, you will suffer a lot of heartache before you consign it to the waters. Right? Okay, the next one, please. So I wouldn't recommend this. Now this one is also Kriyalingam. This was made for me when I was very young. If you count the number of folds on the Yoni Pita, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 folds are there. Since Subramaniam and the Panchadasiya identified together, he is depicted in the Yoni Pitam, and the length of the Yoni Pitam is almost the same length as the Gomukam. Those are the separate different features in this one. When I got this in the beginning, this came into my possession when I was 16 or 17 years old, like I told you. And before we worshipped it, at the insistence of the jeweler who made the thing for me, we weighed. And the priest who had come from Tiruvanakaval and who gave me the Brahma, the Grantha script that is called Kirandam in Tamil, the Grantha script directions of how to make this lingam. It's exclusively for a Subramanya Upasaka, And since my first Upasana Murti was Subramanya, we got this made. And the Shivacharya from Tiruvanakaval gave instructions that before puja it should be measured, it should be weighed. And after about a year of puja or maybe 6 months of puja, intense puja, it should be weighed again. If there was no increase in weight, it was to be confined to the ocean. So this, apparently this had this, and obviously there must have been an increase in the weight. That is why it is still with me. Otherwise I would have consigned it to the waters. This is now in my home because this forms part of the family heritage. So let it be in the house for now. This is also Kriyalingam. And when I was 16, 17, I did not know the value of gold and silver and copper, and that it should be, this is a suitable material, this is not a suitable material. I had no idea. So the jeweler nickel coated the thing and gave it to me. He thought that was beautiful, and I did not know enough to object. Anyway, it has survived all these years, so let it be. The next one. Now, many of you may have been to Chidambaram. In Chidambaram, if you had hung around for a few hours, you would have noticed that in the middle of the day, a Dekshita will come and sit in that flat area in front of Nataraja, and he will do a puja. Shivalingam will be brought with a kavacham, like you see on the right-hand side. But in this case, Nataraja's case, it's a very highly decorated silver kavacham. And the lingam is about 2 times the size of this one. And that lingam is worshipped once a day, midday, including Annabhishekam is done to it. And after that is done, he will put the lingam back in the kavacham and it will go back. After, there are, along with the Shivalingam, he is worshipping a Retina Lingam. That means Nataraja made with ruby. I have seen it. Normally, the Aradhana is not done in front. It's always done in front of the Murti. Here, the priest will show the Aradhana behind so that you can see the translucent in the light that is actually, it's you have goose pimples when you talk about these things. So anyway, like the one in Chidambaram, Shankara, that is Shiva, is supposed to have given him 5 Shivalingams, Lingams, and he has placed one in each place. And the one in Chidambaram was given by Adi Shankara. Here also, we try to recreate the tradition that it only comes out during Pradosha Kalam. What happened? We got it enclosed in that gold kavacham here, and only during Shivaratri and the Pradosha Kalam it will come out. And in normal Pradosham days, immediately after Pradosha Kalam is over, it's put back in the case and it's returned to its own box. So this lingam is also in the temple. This is a Kriyalingam. That means it has been carved by hand. The material is spatikam, silicon dioxide. Crystalline silicon dioxide is the one that is there. Okay, next one, please. Now, here is something called a Sri Lingam. This Shiva Lingam, you will notice, has a Sri Chakram drawn on it, inscribed on it. A Kailasa Prastaram has been made. It has been ploughed in. but the formation is perfect. Such types of lingams, they can be made out of black stone, and the Mahameru or the Sri Chakram is carved into that, or on Spatikam. Now the photograph on the right side is with a light source in the back of the lingam, because I thought it was, you're not able to appreciate the carving that is there. So we took the shot that was with a little close-up also. Now, there was this, in Sri Vidya, there was Bhaskar Rayamukhi. He is considered to be one of the eyes of Sri Vidya, of the Devi, such knowledge. And this Bhaskar Rayamukhi was born he's a Maharashtrian, and he was initiated into Sri Vidya in Kasi. Anyway, this Bhaskar Raya is an authority on the Kaulachara Sampradayam of Sri Vidya. In fact, anything. He has carved or got carved Sri Chakra Mahamerus on Bani Lingams, on Ganga Lingams, and on Spatikam. And in Kashi, it is said that there are 4 lingams. And through some grace of God, I was able to get the address or the location of one of them. He has installed them in Kashi, and with the aid of a friend of mine who happened to be in Chennai, he knew the curator and the caretaker of that place. He called him and told him such and such a person is coming, please allow him to do puja. So only Amma and myself were there. We went alone. The location of the one that I found was near the Trilinga Swami Samadhi. Trilinga Swami Samadhi Temple is there. Now, when you consider that's on a very elevated place, if you climb down maybe about 2 stories, but if you go inside and you still have to climb down, the Mahameru or the Shivalingam is installed in a small tub-like thing, a square tub, and it is there. And he asked me whether I knew how to do Yoni Mudra, I think I remember, because he didn't know who it was. So when I did Namaskaram to him, he said this. And immediately went in and he allowed me to do puja. So Amma and I sat down and did Abhishekam to the Lingam and came. So I thought that was pretty significant. I haven't been able to find out where the other 3 are. They are somewhere in Kasi. Right? Now that we have this Shivalingam, if you look at the base of the base of the figure on the extreme left, you will see some speckles of light. Those are just reflections of the lines that you see from the source of light that was used to take the shot. But in actual fact, it is crystal clear. There are no occlusions, no foreign bodies, no cracks, no fissures, nothing. No air bubbles, no nothing. And this thing is clear, exactly the way a Shivalingam should be, and the shape is perfect here. Let's keep going. After the shape, this thing is over, I'll explain to you why this elliptical shape has been chosen. Now, this is also a type of lingam. This comes from the Ganga river. And it is called a Jyotirlingam. You can see, I do not know, I confess, I have no idea what material this is. I have no idea. But if you place a source of light, you can see the one on the right-hand side is sitting on my telephone, on the light. And I was able to balance it for a couple of seconds and take the photograph. You see the colors. If you look at the one on the left, as your eyes move towards the shape of the thing up north, you see from the white light, the red, the orange, the yellow, and it is slowly turning into a greenish hue, right? This dispersion of light in the story of this Shivalingam is said to be exactly the path the mantras will take when you chant, and if it's that point. So you can see if there are sadhakas or shivacharyas standing on all sides and chanting the mantras or chanting Rudram or chanting Rudra Trisadi or Mahanyasam or something like that for Shiva, you will see the speckles of light inside. Just like the one that is there, you will see specks all over the place. Nobody has yet worshipped this Shivalingam except the one who installed it. Okay. Go to the next one, please. Now, this is a Spatika Lingam. It is quite heavy. In 2010, the Punaruddharana Kumbhabhishekam of the Sri Vidya Temple happened, and we chose the very powerful yajnam called Athirudra Yajnam, Mahayajnam, and decided that rather than stick to the 11 homakundams, we will have 121 homakundams, 11 times that number, and a total of 121 separate upasakas and upasakis will sit and do the homa. And for a day, each of those 121 sadhakas would chant one Ekadasa Rudra. And all 121 would chant a Maharudram every day. And like that, we had this yajnam going on for 11 days. In the evenings, there was Lalita Sahasranamam, Homa, and Sri Vidya Homa. Now, throughout the pujas, the 11, 12 days, from morning till evening, a Badakan, a Brahmana Badakan was seated here, a brahmachari performing Nirandara, Nitya, Aritana and Abhishekam. So all 12 days from morning to evening, this was consecrated, and this Shivalingam was blessed by Sri Satya Sai Baba and then sent to the Kumbhabhishekam. Next one, Amma. Now this is a Chaturmukha Lingam. The origin is Nepal. I believe the artist there, or I don't know where it was made. If you look, the Shivalingam is not straight. It's kind of slanted. That is because it is made of brass and it has been crudely pushed in. The artwork is not of the greatest value, but for what it represented, I brought it. Chaturmukha Lingam means on all four sides, you will find faces. Right? All four sides, you will find the faces there. And except in the Pashupatinath Lingam, Guru Garu and Gurunatha, my Guru have told me, my Sri Guru, that there's a Sri Chakram on the top, facing up. So this is a Chaturmukha Lingam. Okay. Now, the Shivalingamiya is called, the type is Banam. What is Banam? Banam is the shortened form for Bani Lingam. The Banasuran is supposed to have worshipped the Shivalingam, and every day he would put one in the water. That's the legend. And the Ardhanarishwara Lingam has come from the temple city and a place called Triambakeshwar. From there it has come. The Shivalingam depicts exactly the features that are there for Ardhanarishwara. There's a line running exactly separating it. So it's called an Ardhanarishwara Lingam. During Shivaratri time, this Lingam is worshipped. Next one, please. Now, I do not know how many of you are familiar. People who are familiar will immediately recognize the person. There used to be a lady, Shiva devotee in our temple. She is no more, who used to remind us of Karakala Mayar, one of the 63 Saivite saints. She had taken it upon herself. Her mission was to renovate neglected Shiva temples anywhere she went and try to bring it back to life. So on one such tour, when she was in Kasi, one of the sannyasis came and gave this lingam to her and went. And she didn't know enough to ask him who he was. In Kasi, of course, sannyasis are one dime a dozen. Every second person you meet will be a sannyasi. So you don't know who it is. But he didn't wait for her to say anything. He just gave the Shivalingam to her and he walked away. Right? And this Shivalingam has the sign of a crescent moon on it. And because of that, Bhairava has worshipped it. And if it has come from the Ganga, then Kasi, he is the operating deity there. So, Kala Bhairava. So this is Bhairava Lingam. And this Lingam has come from, it says Banam, because people are used to calling the Narmada Lingams as Bana Lingams. So this one, because of the shape, is also Bana Lingam. The more accurate term would be Ganga Lingam. And this is also worshipped during Shivaratri. It's colored black. Okay. The Meenakshi Sundareshwara Lingam is a Shivalingam that arrived in America with the priest of a temple. He was from Meenakshi Temple in Madurai. And when he came, maybe his guru or his father, I don't remember now, gave him this Shivalingam and asked him to take it with him to America and continue the family tradition, because these people were Parampara Pujaris for Matangi in the Meenakshi Temple. So he brought it with him to Boston, because that is where his job was. And somewhere along the line, he met my son-in-law and found out that there were pujas going on in his house. So he took it and left it there because he was not happy with the environment where he was forced to keep the Shivalingam in. So this Shivalingam stayed in Boston for some time. And then my son-in-law brought it and left it here. And it forms the Lambikakra of the Devi that is lying flat in the temple. It's a Meenakshi Sundareshwara temple lingam. Because Meenakshi is never separated from him, we have included her in the thing. Thank you. Next one. Now here, Ganga Lingam. Again, a similar Shivalingam to the one that this Parameshwari teacher party gave. And this lady was such a devotee of Nataraja in Chidambaram. She passed away on Thiruvambava Day, Arudra Darshanam Day, she died. Next one, please. This is also Gangalingam. This is that teacher. This is that devotee who made it a life's mission to renovate abandoned Shiva temples. A really graceful soul. Okay, so another type of Shivalingam is man-made, obviously. This is called a Rasalingam. There used to be another Rasalingam in our temple before this, about 3/4 of the size of this lingam. And a devotee, meaning well, accidentally it slipped and fell down and split into two or three pieces. And we were kind of heartbroken. When Sri Amma came to the temple, I told her about this. And she was on her way to California, I think, and then on her way back, she came back. When she came back, she gave us this lingam. Because she said that Ayya was not very happy after having lost the Shivalingam, so I thought I'll replace it. This is a Mercury Lingam. 85% of its composition is mercury. You know, it's 13.5 specific gravity, and it's also something that our Siddha Purushas used to show off their Siddhis. There are some people, I have seen my Paramaguru, when somebody came and gave him about 10 or 15 ounces of mercury and showed it to him, he took it and swallowed it. Nothing happened to him. But it's supposed to be deadly poisonous. Nothing happened to him. At least after that, he lived for about 10 years. So, this Rasalingam is the one that is worshipped during the Kedareshwara Vedam. So, it has every Shivalingam in the temple has a thing. It has 85% mercury, 5% lead, and 10% herbs. There used to be a very hard-working sculptor in the Devipuram temple, and Guruji had given him enough freedom to experiment with whatever he wanted, and he was very interested in Rasavadam. Rasavadam means conversion from mercury to gold. Guruji told him, don't pursue that kind of a thing. You concentrate on making Merus and Shivalingams in mercury. But don't you know, curiosity always takes the thing. He was making this, he was trying this combination, that combination, this combination. One day, out of the blue, he hit the correct combination and ended up with a lump of gold, half the size of this lingam that you see there. And he got so excited. He came running to Guruji, showed it to him. And Guruji says when he took it from his hand, it was hot. A lump of gold. But he was so excited. He wanted to make money out of it. He ran to Visakhapatnam from Devipuram. Got hold of somebody on a motorbike, the both of them went. He sold it and got some money, but he forgot how to do it. And he came back, that memory of whatever proportions that he had used got jumbled. So, a very nice person, a very accurate sculptor. I could see from his work. I used to have one of his merus until somebody in the temple broke its Vindusthanam off, so I had to drop it in water. So this Shivalingam is worshipped for 21 days during the Kedareshwara Vedam. Okay. Next one, please. This is a Bani Lingam. And I remember talking to you last time about a couple of textual sources. This Bani Lingam is a material from the river Narmada. The river, through water action, it churns the thing like this, and like going around in a barrel, it will keep going down in a drum, going round and round over thousands of years. You find something like this, and the Shivalingam will come out of the Narmada river, not in this polished condition. They polish it and sandpaper it so that the features can be seen. And two textual sources I told you, one is called Yajnavalkya Samhita, the other one is called Kalottara. There they talk about the Lakshanam of the Vanam and how it should be worshipped and all that. And one of the subjects that is given there is that whether it is an Asura, Asuram, Daivatam, deity, right? Manusham, human being. After they do the puja to a Bani Lingam, they will stamp it with a mudra, their seal, and put it in the water. After I read this, I came and started to take a look at all the Banams we had, because they were arriving with monotonous frequency. Even now, in the temple, thumb-sized Banams, I have about half a dozen with me. Anyway, this Banam had the sign of a Dvajam, a flag. If you look at that flag, it will shape like an M. Dvajam. See, the flagpole is like this, like that. So, such a stamp is there on this lingam. And if you chant, if you read the Dvadasa Mantramalika Navagraha Stotram, there is a line there that goes Dvajakara Mandale. Dvajakara Mandale. Dvajam is flag. In a mandalam, on a mandalam shaped like a flag, Ketu is standing. And one of the Shivalingams in Sri Lanka, originally said to be built by the Ravanan family, one of the members, is called Kedishvaram. Ketu is supposed to have worshipped there. And Swami appeared and gave him the name and told him, this will become a Shiva Kshetram, and from today it will be called Kedishvaram. Now Ketu, as a boy, as a young person, I have been to Kedishvaram during summer holidays and volunteered services to the Hindu Samajam. So I have been in and around this temple, and this Kedishvaram, because of that connection, I don't know, this Shivalingam has come to our temple. And this is a Bani Lingam. If you look at the color, it is unlike granite. And there will always be red color markings on that Shivalingam also. Please go to the next one. Now, when a Bani Lingam, I thought we talked about this the last time. Okay, we will stop here for now and go on to the questions. Oh, it's time. Oh.
Yeah, some questions about lingams. One question is, when you talk about mukha lingams, it seems like you're adding a human-like face to Shivalingam, which is supposed to be formless. Is there a sort of a fundamental contradiction?
If the Shivalingam is formless, how will you see it? You see, that itself is an icon. That's okay. But that Shivalingam, the four faces there are not the faces of a human being, Raja. Whoever who is asking the question, each one is one Veda. Last Navaratri, if you had come to our temple, in the Yajnashala, in the entrances, you would have seen pictures and the official pictures, depictions of 4 Vedas and their consorts. So, no, they are not human faces. They are faces of Veda. And the Vedas are supposed to have come from Shiva's mouth.
Yeah, you talked about Bana Lingams and Ganga Lingams. Are there differences in the material they're made of?
Bana Lingam normally comes from the Narmada river. In Ganga Lingam, the river bed is granite. In Narmada, the river bed all along is cryptocrystalline chalcedony. That's not granite. That has got cruciform crystals inside microscopically. If I look at it, it has got cruciform crystals like this. And the distance between each crystal is exactly the wavelength of blue light that emanates from the sun. See? So, blue is associated with which planet? Sanīsvara. So, he's telling you, without telling you how to do or how to get rid of Shanidosham, he's telling you, here, do Abhishekam to me, I will take care of that. But how many people will take the trouble to find out what this is? It so happened that we had a couple of scientists who were working for Kodak. You know, Kodak, everybody thinks is a film company. Kodak is not a film company, it's a chemical company. Right? And I had asked them, what is the difference between this and this? And they brought me a small write-up about this. That is where this information was. So, for now you know. So, Bana Lingam comes from the Narmada river. The Ganga Lingam comes from Ganga, and it won't be this sheeny and shiny. They will take it and polish it. They'll polish the thing and then it is offered in the market. Both will give you the same result, there's no problem. Only trouble is, in the Ganga Lingam, there's no way to tell whether you are worshipping Shiva upside down. Because the shape is there and it is uniform black. In the Bana Lingam from the Narmada, you can tell. There's a top and there's a bottom. Okay.
So, yeah, building on that, there are other holy rivers like, say, the Kaveri, for instance. Can you get lingams from those rivers as well?
It will have to be individually assessed. See, if you start saying you can get this thing, people, you have seen this semi-precious stone eggs in these new age bookstores and all these places. Like that, what they will do is, they find out that there are people interested in that oval shape. They'll make it into an egg, like a Fabergé egg, and start selling it. So when it comes into your hand, it must vibrate. Otherwise, it is just stone. The story, the legend is that the entire riverbed of Narmada is Shiva's body. That is why it is so precious.
Yeah, there are rules about how to position a lingam and how big it can be if you're keeping it at home.
Yes, there are rules and regulations as to how big you can keep it, how big a murti you can keep at home. And I'm not saying Shivalingam, unless it has come through the family. Now, I remember when Vishankul was here, we went to Vishankul's older brother's house. The Shivalingam has come from the family. From father to eldest son, to eldest son, to eldest son, it has gone like that. So the Shivalingam is there. It cannot exceed the size of your thumb. Anguli matra. I think if you are having a murti, your span should be the limit. That's the basic unit of your size. Okay. So it should not be too big. Now, having said that, I have a disciple in Australia whose hobby is to buy Shivalingams. I mean, you go turn around in his house, wherever you turn, there's Shivalingam. He's from Nepal. And he takes care of them. So these things happen. You have to be careful. Now, if you're going to keep a big Shivalingam like that in your house and this thing, your house must be like a temple. It must be, you have to maintain it like a temple. Otherwise, the clash of vibrations will be there.
So the related question, that if you are keeping a Shivalingam at home, they generally say that the Madi Acharam is very important compared to, say, worshipping Devi.
Right. So, what is the question?
I guess that is the question. Like, is it important, or how important is the Madi Acharam aspect?
The Maryada aspect, yes, Madi Acharam aspect. I have been also told by my mother, no less. My mother has told me, Swami Pudapurukadu, Amma Purpa. That means the Devi will tolerate your nonsense and your sins and your idiosyncrasies and all the rest of it, whatever that's in between. He won't. Because he's 2.8 billion degrees Celsius. You get anywhere near him, miles, thousands of miles before you will be vaporized. Poof. So that is why they say. And what the scientific basis for this, I haven't yet properly discovered and researched. It is going that way, but it is not properly researched. So I won't tell you the answer now for this. But there must be some truth in it, isn't it? Otherwise, why would the elders say, don't do this? If it is like this, it should not be like this. Yeah. So,
can we worship a Mavukal stone lingam at home?
what do you say? What is Mavukal material? Are you talking about one or two of the derivatives of calcium carbonate? Mavukal, Saravakal is limestone. What is Mavukal? Sandstone? Okay, let me ask you a question. If you pour water on it for months together, right, every day, will it get diminished in size? Then forget it. If it is going to be dissolved with that, don't use that. Those things are for decoration.
Yeah, during Shivaratri at our temple, lingams are used and arranged in a particular way. Is there a specific meaning behind the arrangement?
Okay, the ones that you see during the Shivaratri, the arrangement, each of them is a Spatika Lingam, chosen and brought down from Benares, Kasi. Now, the actual way of doing this puja, this is called Sahasralinga Archana and Shivavarana Puja. So 1,116 Shivalingams are arranged as per instructions given to you. They are there. I got these instructions from a very kind-hearted gentleman in Texas. I called him and asked him because I was looking for the Puja Pattari for the Sahasralinga Archana, and somebody gave him his number, and I called, and he was very gracious enough to immediately send the text to me, and I got it translated, and that is what we are using. But normally, the Shivalingams are to be made with mattikam, river sand, river mud. Now, Shivaratri, in the cold climate that we live in, comes here in the middle of winter. And in the middle of winter, if you come anywhere near Rochester, if you open the temple door, there will be at least a foot of snow outside collected and remaining. How will you? The river is a few, maybe about 400 yards away from the temple. How will you go through there? And it's on an incline, you will slip and fall. And besides, you cannot take the mud from that thing at that time because your hands and legs and everything will freeze. Okay. So I was thinking, what is the next alternative? Then we thought of and came up with this idea of Lingams. But the great disadvantage is that they don't make them the same size. And if you wait for them to make the lingam the same size, it will take them a long time. But anyway, the lingam, the formation that you see there is Sahasra Linga, Kailasa Prasthara thing, the formation is there. This is the form that we worship in Shivaratri, and it is quite extensive, the worship. Okay? All right.
We'll stop there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Namaskaram.
Thank you very much, Ayya, for sharing and teaching us about the Shivalingams today. We are looking forward to learning more about Shivalingams and other sacred rituals in the upcoming sessions. For those who are viewing these learning sessions, we have sent a feedback form to everyone via email. We kindly ask everyone to take a few minutes to complete this form to help with the growth of the future learning sessions. As a reminder, to access all demonstration videos and the content from prior sessions, please visit srividya.org/AYM lectures. All content will be available on our websites for everyone to access and practice. Thank you everyone for joining us for today's session. At this time, we will hand it over to Vyas Uncle from Ashtanga Yoga Mandir to begin our yoga session. Thank you.
Greetings to all of you all from Ashtanga Yoga Mandir, Sri Lanka, and my pranams to Haranaya and all the devotees of the Sri Vidya Temple. So every week we have been focusing on some of the most important areas of the body, focusing on the alignment of the system. The alignment of a human being is generally gets into a different range because of the usage of the hands and the legs mostly. Because the way how we use the hands and the way how we use the foot, the walking methodology or the sitting methodology, there is always a possibility of alignments getting changed. Sometimes you will see, like when we have food, sometimes some children, like when they watch TV, so they will be like this, they'll be like this, and then they will start eating. So in the cushion. So what happens, there's a compression which takes place, and that compression leads into some form of acidity or some form of toxins within the system. Like that, you will see that based on how we use the alignment of our structure, the balancing takes place. For that purpose, we will do a few practices today to get the alignment of the hands, alignment of the spine, which will have a great impact in the central nervous system. So the first practice is slowly you will take your hands in this position. Those who are comfortable, you can please come on video on mode. Come into this position and then slowly keep your hands, bring it forward. Then you take your other hand up and then take it forward in this position. And then from here, you will slowly start moving up in a circular manner. So when you take it up, you will just see whether you are comfortable, whether your bicep is comfortable in touching the ears. That is what you need to look into it. So you will take it in this position. Take a deep breath, but always try to ensure that the grip, all the 5 fingers are kept at the same location. So here you will see sometimes when we do this practice, these fingers, which was kept at the exact location. So you will see from here to here, there is the measurement here. You will just keep it in the middle of that region. So the easiest is that you can just measure it up and you can just take it in the exactly, you have the collarbone, you just measure the collarbone off and just get the middle of it. And then when you go on with the practice, you will always see that whether you have the grip to hold it. Sometimes for some people, they find it difficult to keep it in the same spot. So by the practice finishes, the fingers comes here. That's fine. But when you go on doing the practice, you will see that you will be able to have the process. And now relax yourself. Keep your eyes closed. Observe your shoulders. And now we go into the next practice. Slowly bring your hands behind. Up to here. And see that you are comfortable. So this is an indicator. So that is basically, when you bring your hands up to here, it will be exactly behind to the diaphragm region. So that is the basic flexibility which we intend to do it. So you will come up to this position. So if you nicely observe, you will see. Just touch like this, take it up like this, and then you will see that you will be able to come closer to the diaphragm. In case if you are not able to touch closer, if it is somewhere here, that's fine. Then what you can do is you can just keep your hands in this position and then slowly do this movement. Very gently. So you will do the inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation, exhalation, inhalation, exhalation, inhalation, exhalation, and then you will see at one point when you do the measurement exactly, when you take it up like this, you will see it comes closer to the diaphragm region, and then slowly relax yourself. And then slowly you take the other hand up, closer to the ears, and then down, and then slowly start moving. So the basic idea is that the armpit region, you are able to have the flexibility so that the middle finger comes exactly around the region of the diaphragm. So you will do around 9 to 15 times with the basic breathing. And now slowly relax yourself. And now slowly bring your hands up again. Bring your other hand up. Interlock it. Just be there. So you will see once you interlock your fingers, there is an elevation in your spine, in the middle part of the spine, exactly behind. And from here, you will be doing a specific breathing practice. So slowly take your hands down, relax yourself. There is a very important breathing practice, which is called as the Bhastrika. That is, basically you do the inhalation and the exhalation process. in a very gentle manner. And when you do this movement, you will see the stomach moving forward and back, just moving up and down. So this is the indicators. So nicely, you just close your eyes, see the movement of the stomach, see the movement around the chest region. So now what you will do, you will bring your hands in the same position as how I showed you. You will come behind, you will interlock it, keep it in this position, elevate your rib region a little bit, and then you will slowly start doing 27 times of inhalation and exhalation of the Bhastrika practice. And then slowly you take your hands and then turn it behind. So if you want to know whether your rib cage, especially the shoulders, are in the perfect condition, you can just assess your own self. How do you assess? Slowly, you take your hands, you just take your hand up and let's see whether you are able to bring the palms in the Anjali Mudra or Namaskara Mudra. So you will see in the wrist page, and still with it, sometimes some people will be able to have like this. That's fine, let it be there. Sometimes you may even have it up to here. You may even start up to here. But slowly, 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 you will be able to move up and then hold it in this position. In case if you are finding it difficult to bring both hands, you always start with one hand. So start with one hand. Then do it with the other hand, and then after that, slowly take it up, and then bring it up and be in this position. So once you do this, so this becomes as one of the yogic health assessment methodology for you. So whenever there is some shiveringness around the hand region, whenever sometimes when after a certain age, you will see some people find it very difficult in even signing, putting their signatures on the checks. In those conditions, and then you will know the art of writing. And sometimes the grip of the fingers reduces. This sequence will be helping you tremendously. So with those little bit of introduction on the practice of the hand, we will conclude the session. On behalf of Ashtanga Yoga Mandir, Sri Lanka, we thank the Sri Vidya Temple, Haranaya, and all the wonderful devotees and the members and the volunteers for doing such a wonderful program, and also our pranams and good wishes from Sri Lanka to all of you all for the beautiful Bhumi Puja for the Rajagopram, which is to take place on April 14th. We wish good luck and great success for that beautiful, great project.